Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Huddle Rec, and this is my second channel since I was banned over a year ago, but I digress. So you guys here to look at Bitcoin. Well, before we look at Bitcoin, there's two things that I want to mention. You have your spot trading Bitcoin and you also have your Bitcoin CME futures. And the wonderful thing about the CME futures is that you can actually take a break during the weekend and holidays while the spot continues on trading. Um, so, one thing I like to mention is gaps. Now, because Bitcoin futures ends up having gaps, you have to pay attention. And in fact, let's see here. Let's look at a larger time frame. Okay, I have down here and here that a while back I had highlighted that at some point, and we were up here. We were down here, we were up here, and I kept on saying, and these are, each bar represents 2 weeks. So even if I just added the 2 weeks recently, but each bar represents a monthly bar since I just switched it. But during the daily time frame, there is a gap, as you can see here, that I highlighted. And while we were up here, I was discussing that at some point we have to fill those gaps in, and a lot of folks thought that I was crazy. I saw the comments. They're like, "No way! This is a bull run. We're going to 100,000." And now I see personnel talking about going to 9,000 and even below 1,000, which that would be a great gift to have. So one thing to do, let's see here. But on the monthly time frame, look at, looks like it wants to head lower. You see how these two got close and started heading lower? This could be another down leg or another down bar for the month of February. But the MACD is looking promising, but it doesn't mean, remember, these are monthly bars, so there could be a lot of price action during that, an entire month. It's a short month, so we'll see. I think we're heading lower. You see this blue line support around 20,000. I think that's a nice support on the monthly time frame. We'll have to check out the other shorter time frames. Now let's go to the weekly. Okay, on the weekly, we can start a new week. Here's a little interesting. I mean, it's the MACD came down. It's heading up higher. There's a little possible turn, but as right now on the weekly's looking good on the MACD. But here's the thing. Remember I mentioned those gaps? You have a gap right in there. So what was the high of this one? Was about 19,995 and the low was 225.25. So there's, a basically a little over 500 point gap here between the week of January the 9th and January the 17th. So at some point we have to head down and retest that. So I'm thinking that we are beginning the leg down. I think we're going to definitely test the 21 and of course this major support around the 20,000. Resistance is here. You see this purple and yellow indicators right here. So you got major resistance around 25. And this is the CME futures, of course. So let's see. Now check out the daily. Okay, on the daily, here's something extraordinary. Here's that gap. Let's go ahead and add that gap. And right there. Oops. I haven't done this in a while, so please bear with me. But there's also a little tiny smaller gap up here. So before we could head higher, we could head higher and fill this gap and continue to head higher. Or we could test, fill this gap and head higher. Either way, these two gaps at some point need to fill. So I think this smaller one will be filled first before coming down and retesting around the 23,000 mark. So just keep that in mind. And on the daily, we had the buy trigger here, and we haven't had a sell trigger as of yet. This is the daily time frame. So let's look at the MACD. But you can see volume's been, going lower, but it hasn't triggered. It hasn't come down below the red line here. So, but it looks like it wants to head lower as of right now. But we haven't had that indication to say buy. To short or sell. So, yep. Okay, let's look at the spot price. The spot, let's see, this is on KuCoin, that's USDC. Let's look at, okay, this is with Tether. Now on Tether, let's go with the monthly time frame, see what we see. Okay, I don't have a lot of support lines in here, but you could tell that this area is obviously resistance, which is around the 25. And I think we could go low and fill that gap, like I mentioned before. I'm worried about the 4,000 area, because honestly, like, you see how it just ran up. Let's go ahead and add a horizontal line right about there. You could see it was resistance, and it was resistance here on the monthly until it finally exploded. Came down, had the two tops here, and then just came on crashing down. And there are people calling it bullish, but I don't think the bleeding is done yet, honestly. These are monthly, but looks like there's some volume picking up. So as of right now, I think we should fill that gap around the 2300 level. So let's go ahead and check the weekly. And I've mentioned this, of course, all my previous channel got deleted. But see this yellow line here? 9 times out of 10, it ends up testing that. So after the explosion back on the 9th, the week of the 9th of January, we've just been going higher and higher. Now, I think we should at least test the 21,970 area. So, and it looks like a possible tweezer tops right here, and then could be working the next leg down. We had a buy indicator on the weekly at this back on the 15th of August. So basically, and look at that. Look where we're at here. That should be your buy above this. So your buy should be at 24. Above 24, you should be going long, basically. But we haven't had a sell signal yet. See how they had a buy here, but it didn't. Then you had a sell, and then you came all the way down, and the next buy was here, but I prefer using the daily time frame for, buy, buy and sell. So I think this could be possible. Tweezer tops, we had him here. We had him. This looks like a little shooting star. We had tops here. Tops there, came down. Tops there, came down. See, there's two tweezer bottoms, and then went up. See that? It's looking pretty. Obviously, you could tell once it's already happened. So you're always trying to project on what the future will bring. I think as of right now, we still got to fill those gaps lower, and support is about the 20,000. So, but looking at the weekly, it's more like the 2,700 area. But you still got that gap below, so I think we're gonna have to retest that gap before we head higher. And the MACD, how's the MACD? Turning. So still heading higher. We have this week just started, so there's not much that we can talk about the week yet. According to this, you should still be long. But I think that the pullback is underway. And let's check out the daily. Alright, on the daily now, this is spot price. This is with paired with Tether on KuCoin. Let's see. Alright, see, back here we had a sell, and it's been going lower. There's been a lot of selling pressure there on the MACD. We had a buy back on the 3rd January, and you could have rolled that up. And as right now, let's zoom this up a little bit more so you can clearly see. Okay, so basically below, you should be getting ready to short, basically. Honestly, I would say about 22,684. So I think below that you should be getting out or short. And if that breaks, that area breaks, you have support around 2660 and about 19,605. So you have support there at this area. I would more likely have a safer, let's see how it's popped up, came down, popped up, came down, and this time it really came down. So it's pop up, came down, and then it took a little bit while until it really came down back November. But we could continue to trade sideways because basically we've been trading sideways from the 21 January. So we could either be building a base for the next leg up or deteriorating and breaking down. So like I mentioned before, below basically let's see, I would say below a break between 22.8. Let's see, where is this at? Yeah, 22.8 and 22.5. I would definitely be going short. This indicator is saying that you should be getting ready to short, or at least getting out. And then if you wanted to play it safe, I would probably more than likely have the stop limit buy around the 24,330 level as a possible breakout to the upside. But MACD is still saying there's a lot of selling pressure. Let's check out the volume. Volume doesn't look too horrendous. Let's look at the weekly volume. pretty much the same. So, yeah, just remember on those Bitcoin futures that the gaps need to be filled. Nope, so put there and there. So, there's actually a gap right up here too, which is around the 27 level. So, have to add that. We already know that Bitcoin's going higher. The thing is, how low will it go before heading higher? Okay. And there's a lot of traders out there that are talking about maybe even revisiting the 9,000, which would make sense. Let's do the horizontal line. Yeah, about 10,000. See that? See how this was support, resistance, resistance, and they finally break out, and then there was actual support back in 2020. So here we are. See, it got pretty low to that support level. So we got gaps to fill. Got gap to fill up here. I saw this YouTuber, I think on Twitter, that he had a gap somewhere. I don't know exactly how far back that he was mentioning that there was gap, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I covered all the gaps, but maybe it was on a different futures contract. But so yes, I do see the possibility of breaking below 10,000 and actually heading lower than that. I fear the 4,000, but maybe we still got a little while to go. With that, any questions? Feel free to leave them on the comments. I'm your host, Otto Rex. Have a wonderful day. Yeah.